Welcome back to Sports Night. Right now it's time for our segment, the Redzone. Football time.
NFL.
It's always fun.
It was a good Sunday.
It was a good Sunday. Some very good games. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get it started. Chicago Bear Devin Hester set the tone with a 48-yard touchdown catch and scored on a career-best 98-yard kickoff return as the Bears routed the Minnesota Vikings 39-10 on Sunday night. The story around Chicago Bears has been the protection by the offensive line, naturally. So, Steve, how glad were you to see Mike Martz actually making protection adjustments?
Well, last night the offensive line gave up only 1 sack.
Yeah.
So, hey, that's a good start against Minnesota team that was second in the league in sacks, and they had Jared Allen, who leads the NFL in sacks.
I think he had 8.5.
8.5 going into Sunday night. You know, at times, Mike Martz made the adjustments we saw him make last year after that Giants debacle where the O-line gave up 9 sacks in the first half.
Yeah.
You know, at times last night, he had 8 players blocking on the field for a pass play.
Yeah, it's good to see.
Brought in 2 tight ends and the running back to block.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I think we have in this team is speed at the wide receiver position. Granted, like we've said, our wide receiving is probably if they go to any other team, they're second or third at best. In the depth charts at the wide receiver position. But we have speed.
Yeah.
Johnny Knox, granted, Roy Williams is he's not as fast as those two, but he knows the system well enough he knows where and when he's going to be open.
Yeah. I was glad to see Roy Williams play well, you know.
Yeah.
I think he only had 3 catches for 50 yards. I mean, you'd think stat-wise, well, it's not a very good game, but the catches he made were big catches. I think 2 of them were in some heavy traffic.
The first one was a big 3rd and long completion for a first down.
And the second one is one of Jay Cutler's hardest throws I've ever seen. That thing was on a zing. And sit there. Everyone's used to Roy Williams dropping balls. It was just good to see him in rhythm. He looked like he was actually in rhythm. I mean, you know what? If you give Cutler time, I mean, he'll find open receivers. He's, talent-wise, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's just not given the team to play it. Right. So it was just great to see him actually play quarterback instead of play run for your life. For a change. The
one thing I thought I was afraid of, was all the talk about protection when Jay Cutler's passing. Right. I had a fear that Mike Martz would, have the whole game would be more passing than running. Right. But, I mean, we rushed about 419 yards. Matt Forte was a beast.
He was fantastic.
As usual.
Yeah.
I was glad Mike Martz kept it balanced.
Yeah.
And, that was the one feel I had coming into Sunday night was, Jay Cutler hasn't had the pass protection, Even though he made the adjustments for protection, I just was hoping that they wouldn't throw the ball a lot, and they didn't.
Right.
And that's, I think, the key for the rest of the season for this Bears offense.
Oh, yeah. You got to have that balance.
Defensively, they came to play. They've been under scrutiny, too.
They have been. I mean, Bears defense this year has not played up to par. They put their name on not giving up big plays, but so far this season, up until this game, there's been plenty of big plays on the Bears. Guys blowing coverages, guys getting blocked in bad situations, whether it be running or passing. There's been huge plays.
Yeah.
So it was just great to see the Bears coming in there and getting physical. Safeties were out. Meriwether Harris. They were playing Major Wright and Chris Conti, and they both played fantastic football.
Yeah,
fantastic football.
I mean, it was the first time the defensive line came off the ball quick. I thought for the first time this whole season.
Oh man,
and it kind of looked like the old monsters of the Midway.
They did. How about Stephen? I don't know. Is Pay? How do you say his last name? Paella.
Stephen Paella. Yeah.
Oh man, when he got that
safety,
I mean, he just literally took the center and moved him.
Yeah,
that guy is a horse. I mean, this line was Julius Peppers when McNabb was trying to scramble away and he's like
just shoved him. Just shoved them. Get down.
He's like, really trying to run away from me. So it was great to see the defense playing with some physicality again.
Let's hope they can keep it up.
Oh, yeah.
The 50-50 plays that seemed to go wrong during the Philadelphia Eagles 4-game skid went right for a change, and that's perhaps the main reason the so-called dream team of the NFC East isn't buried yet. The Eagles finally learned how to tackle and stop the run Sunday during a 20-13 win over the Washington Redskins. Mike, do the Eagles turn the corner and make a run for the division and the playoffs?
I don't know. The Redskins had quite a few turnovers in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Eagles should have scored way more than 20 points. I mean, the score may look decent, but They should have had 40 the way they were turning the ball over left and right. The Redskins were. So, I'm not going to say anything quite yet. I don't think that all of a sudden the Eagles will win 10 straight and be, whatever 13-3 or whatever. But it's good. It's good for them to have a win. I think this is something they desperately needed after they won. They're 2-4 now, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 2-4. So you can't afford to go 1-5, especially if you want to have a dream at making the playoffs. They had to win this game, and they did. But it's the offense is all about speed. There's no power there.
Yeah.
I still don't know how. They have no true hard rut. Running game. Yeah. So they're really one-dimensional offense, and I think it's going to be tough for them to play when they play good defenses. I think it's going to be tough for them to score.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, the main reason the Eagles went on that 4-game skid was their defense and giving up a lot of rushing yards. But last night they only gave up 42 yards,
right?
Rushing allowed, and overall they're still ranked high in the league. They're 24th in the league right now in rushing defense. It's going to be for them to get division. It's going to be tight for them to win a division. I think their main shot is to get in via wild card. Because right now they're two games back from the division-leading Giants, 4-2. Granted, it's 2 games.
Yeah, and it's still so early in the season you can't judge it on 2 games.
Right. Right now I think their best shot is the wild card. But hey, there's still some hope for that division title lurking
for sure.
in the background. It's always in the back of their heads that they can get up there.
Oh yeah, it has to be. Or else you can't give up.
Yeah.
A day that began with a tribute and celebration to late owner Al Davis ended with questions about the Oakland Raiders' future following a serious injury to starting quarterback Jason Campbell. The Raiders overcame Campbell's broken collarbone by getting a 101-yard kickoff return from Jacoby Ford and Kevin Boss's 35-yard touchdown catch from punter Shane Leckler. That was a fantastic thing, by the way. That was awesome.
On that fake field goal.
Oh, yeah, that was fantastic. And they won 24-17. On Sunday over the Cleveland Browns in the first home game since Davis's passing. So, Steve, are the Raiders in the race for the AFC West? I mean, they look good, but, does Jason Campbell's injury hurt their chances?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, he's not. He wasn't the main reason why
they were winning.
They have top 5 running back in.
Darren McFadden's a monster.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a running game, which you have, I think any quarterback can be good. Any decent quarterback. Let me get that right. Jason Campbell's a decent quarterback.
Yeah. No, I mean, when you start throwing in guys like Kyle Bowler.
Yeah.
That's infamously his nickname. I remember on the Ravens, they used to call him Kyle Should Have Been a Bowler. That's how good of a quarterback he is.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know if the quarterbacks on their roster can lead them to ton of wins.
Right, because right now Jason Campbell's out for at least 6 weeks. He will have surgery on that collarbone, so they're saying minimum 6 weeks. Right on the roster right now, their backups are, like you said, quarterback Kyle Bowler. Career stats-wise, he's completed 70% of his passes for just over 8,800 yards with 48 touchdown passes. They also got Ohio State Buckeye
Terrell Pryor
with that fancy new tattoo. Terrell Pryor, and he hasn't played a game yet at the professional level. We'll see what happens during the week, but in his college stats, he completed 61% of his passes for almost 6,200 yards and had 57 touchdown passes. Granted, that's college.
Yeah.
Rumor has it that Oakland is looking for a trade right before tomorrow's deadline. Rumor has it that they're talking to Cincinnati.
Carson Palmer.
Carson Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens there. That's a viable option, but we don't know what he's been doing.
You have no idea what he's doing. I know, and they were also talking about signing David Garrard because he's been working his butt off trying to get. But at the same time, you're introducing a quarterback to a system he doesn't know in Garrard. So is he going to be ready to play? I don't know.
It's going to be interesting to see what the Raiders do. And right now the Chargers had a bye. So right now the Raiders are 4-6 and the Chargers are 4-1. So, depending on how Oakland's bye week goes and where the Chargers do, right now they're pretty much tied for the AFC West.
4-6. You said 4-6.
Did I say 4-6?
Yeah.
Sorry. They're in 6 weeks, 4-2.
Yeah, there you go. But no, they're right there. So
So right now they're at the top of their division. They could squeak through these 6 weeks where they haven't moved they're still
just trying to get some wins. Yeah,
a game at
most
or two away. Yeah, bright things will happen for the Oakland Raiders if they could just stick with the 6 weeks with
and
whoever they're going to put at.
And we all know about the Charger bad luck.
Yeah. But we'll see how they Chargers do, because they have a tough test this weekend against the Jets.
Oh yeah.
The San Francisco 49ers knocked the Detroit Lions from the unbeaten ranks on quarterback Alex Smith's touchdown pass with 1:51 left in the game. After the game, 49ers coach Jim Harbaugh and Lions coach Jim Schwartz got in a little altercation after the two exchanged handshakes at the end of the game. Mike, what are your thoughts with what Jim Harbaugh has done with the 49ers, and what is your take on the coach's altercation after the game?
Harbaugh has brought energy to the 49ers, and he turned what looked like another first overall pick bust into at least a somewhat respectable quarterback this year in Alex Smith.
Yeah.
Having said that, the altercation, I think it's way overblown. I mean, let's be honest. This is football. Guys are getting wrecked. It's one of the most high emotion sports you'll find.
Both were in the in the heat of, in the moment.
In the heat of the moment. That it was close win for the Niners. Harbaugh was pumped, and I think at the same time I can understand where Schwartz is coming from, because you're upset. You just lost your undefeated record. Football's a sport that runs on highs and lows.
Yeah.
Because when I played, that's how I was. When you won, you were super pumped. When you lost, you didn't want to talk to anybody.
Right.
So I can understand why Harbaugh. I mean, he may have been a little bit too excited. He was like jumping around and going crazy, but. And then
I think he actually pulled up his shirt and showed
that's
the
what they
stomach.
said. He was like, it's like, okay, there you go, coach. But I mean, I can understand where Schwartz is coming from too. I mean, he gives him. It wasn't just a little tap. He kind of pushed him. You could tell.
Yeah.
And I think Schwartz has every right to kind of say, what the heck? Usually it's just a handshake. He's over here pumping people.
Yeah.
So but I think it's nothing more than that. I don't think this should be in NFL's going to throw fines down and blah blah. No.
Yeah.
Just let it be.
I agree with you. I think the whole coach's altercation is just a little overblown. Yeah. Granted, they were both in the heat of the moment. What do you expect?
Yeah.
But looking at Jim Harbaugh, what he's done with the 49ers, for a first-year coach to come in after a lockout and not, he didn't have mini camps.
Right.
To be preseason was kind of shortened a little bit because you're working with,
it was only 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Before.
And a lot of his coaching staff was that of the past coach, Mike Singletary's staff.
Yeah.
So he's been working with guys that he really didn't want in his system, in his coaching staff.
Yeah.
And he's making it work.
Yeah. I think this is a perfect example of, and I know a lot of people say, well, what effect or what